accomplished nothing. He's not even a champion. And he's not even in my weight class already. And, it's a lot of things there that doesn't make sense. And plus, at this point in my career, I can do what.
Canelo didn't hold back. He believes Crawford is a weak opponent, stating that Crawford hasn't accomplished much, doesn't have any belts, and doesn't fit in his weight class. But that wasn't all Canelo had to say. He made it clear that his confidence isn't just talk, it's backed by how he feels in the ring. "I feel strong and calm right now," he said. "It's boxing, but no one can beat me right now." While he meant no offense to other boxers, acknowledging that there are some great ones out there, his words reflected a deep awareness of where he stands. The level at which Canelo operates is something he doesn't believe anyone else can match. He remains sharp, seasoned, and still dangerous. Canelo is focused on leaving a lasting legacy, though not everyone thinks he's the best, despite the admiration for what he's accomplished. Some boxing analysts hold differing views. One of them is former world champion and pundit Pauli Malignaggi, who offered his perspective on the Canelo vs. Crawford debate. Malignaggi didn't just question the assumption, he turned it on its head.
Was originally thinking Crawford might be too small. I think Crawford is a way more complete fighter than Canelo ever was. I think Crawford is just, the only risk here is Crawford's small. You think about it though, Duran was a former lightweight and he was able to beat Iran Barkley eventually, right? So it's not out of the question. And this Canelo is not the prime Canelo.
Pauli Malignaggi discusses why he believes Crawford is the better all-around boxer. He acknowledges the enormous gap in size but points out that history has shown smaller fighters can surprise the world. To Malignaggi, it's not just about weight, it's also about skill, and Crawford excels in that area. While this is a bold opinion, it sparked meaningful discourse across the boxing world. Despite Canelo's harsh remarks, he did show respect. Although he may not see the fight as significant, that doesn't mean he dismisses Crawford's abilities. In a separate interview, Canelo recognized Crawford's accomplishments and skill, offering a rare moment of praise amid a heated discussion.
This one is Terence Crawford.
Good fighter.
Okay.
Canelo referred to Crawford as a talented fighter, acknowledging his contributions to the sport, but maintained his firm stance. In his view, Crawford still doesn't pose enough of a threat. It was more of a subtle nod than a genuine opportunity for Crawford, as Canelo's praise didn't change how he sees the facts. He knows the business and is selective about who truly deserves his attention. However, Pauli Malignaggi didn't just praise Crawford, he also had harsh words for Canelo. In another segment, Malignaggi delved deeper into what he sees as Canelo's declining fighting spirit. For Pauli, it's not just about technique or records but about the mindset in the toughest moments, which he believes Canelo is lacking.
Boy, Canelo was trying to steal bags while half-assing it. When Canelo has been put in tough situations, in the moments where he's had to really dig down, what has he done? He hasn't really dug down and gone for broke in fights where he's been losing. He just kind of accepted the loss.
Like Bivol.
We saw that with Floyd too. Well, early on with Floyd too. People will say that he was young, but he never really took a risk in the Floyd fight once he was outclassed. He just accepted it, like, all right, this guy.
Malignaggi cited key contests where Canelo didn't react like a true fighter, particularly when things weren't going his way. He believes the Canelo of today is not the same hungry fighter he once was, instead seeming more focused on big paydays than on legacy-defining performances. Malignaggi even referenced earlier fights, such as Canelo's bout with Floyd Mayweather, to illustrate his point that Canelo has collapsed under pressure in the past. While this is a harsh assessment, it has sparked real debate over Canelo's current position in the sport. Just when things couldn't get any more heated, Pauli doubled down on his stance. He highlighted a stark contrast in the mental fortitude of both fighters, suggesting that the true difference lies beyond skill or size. For him, it's all about attitude, hunger, and how a fighter responds when the pressure intensifies.
In this interview, he is a guy who's reminds me of Floyd, and he stays hungry, motivated, and wants to still be the best, and has that mean streak in the ring. Not to say that Canelo doesn't have a mean streak, but I feel like once you start punching Canelo a few times in the face, that mean streak ain't so mean anymore. You know what I mean? He punks out a little bit. So while Crawford, I feel like, wants to go for the gusto. That doesn't mean to me that Crawford wins because he's small, but I'm just saying I believe more now that Crawford can win than I did originally when this was first being.
Pauli sees in Crawford something reminiscent of Floyd Mayweather, an unwavering desire to stay sharp, hungry, and dominant. He believes Crawford is still fighting with a chip on his shoulder, always looking to prove something. On the other hand, Pauli questions whether Canelo maintains his competitive edge when things get tough. He feels Canelo isn't biting down like he used to. This is more than just criticism, it's a challenge to the very core of who these fighters are. For Pauli, this shift in mindset makes a Crawford victory seem more likely than ever. But Pauli didn't just focus on the fighter's skills, he also brought the politics of boxing into the conversation. In a passionate moment, he shifted the discussion to what he sees as a larger issue: accountability. For Pauli, this fight is more than just Crawford versus Canelo, it's about what the outcome means for the sport itself.
Love to see Crawford win because I feel like if Canelo gets this payday, which is going to be a big payday, and then also gets the win out of it, it's just too much of a reward for outright ducking Benavidez and being allowed to duck his mandatory contender while holding all the belts hostages at 168 pounds for so long and not letting that weight class run its course the way.
Pauli believes a Canelo win would reward all the wrong things, such as avoiding mandatory challenges, stagnating a division, and opting for lower risk, high reward matchups. He specifically pointed out the delay in facing David Benavidez, the rightful challenger at 168 pounds. To Pauli, Canelo's accumulation of all the belts without properly defending them has harmed the division, which is why he's supporting Crawford, not only as the underdog but as someone who has the potential to shake up the system. It's a strong opinion rooted in frustration with how the sport is being handled at the top. While Pauli focused on the politics and psychology of the situation, renowned trainer Ronnie Shields brought the conversation back to pure boxing in a recent interview. Shields praised Crawford, not for the hype or headlines, but for what he sees inside the ring. As someone who has worked with champions, his words carry weight.
Let me tell you something, man. Terence Crawford is one of the smartest fighters I've ever seen. Very smart, always in shape, you know. And he can figure out anybody. And it don't make no difference if it's two weight classes or not. If you have it here, and you have the skills to match this, that's tough to do. No matter who you are. It's not about power. Just because you're strong don't mean you're going to win. You know? That doesn't work. You've got to have the skills in this game. And Terence Crawford has the skills to fight anybody in the world.
Shields called Crawford one of the smartest boxers he's ever seen, emphasizing Crawford's ability to stay in shape, adapt mid-fight, and solve any opponent, regardless of weight class. He made it clear that it's not about power or size, but rather technique, intelligence, and discipline. Shields believes Crawford has the tools to defeat anyone, no matter how big or powerful they are. Crawford himself feels that his complete skill set makes him a dangerous opponent, even for someone like Canelo. But Shields didn't just praise Crawford's abilities, he also explained why a fight with Canelo at 168 pounds makes sense. While some may worry about size, weight, or power, Shields believes Crawford brings something to the table that can't be measured on a scale. He sees this fight not only as possible but as incredibly important for boxing.
Canelo would have to make 168. Crawford's not going to have no problem at 168. And like I say,
Shields pointed out that Canelo would have to make the weight just like everyone else and that Crawford would be at no disadvantage because his skills speak for themselves. He believes Crawford has all the necessary tools to fight and win, even at super middleweight. For Shields, it's about legacy. He compared Crawford's situation to that of Roy Jones Jr., who climbed the ranks and made history. Shields made it clear that if fans want to see the greatest fight, the best, this is the matchup to watch. He drew a striking historical comparison to highlight his point, referencing the legendary Mayweather vs. Canelo fight, not to revisit old history, but to emphasize what he believes wins fights. It's not about muscle or size, it's about the mindset, skills, and intelligence behind the gloves.
Floyd Mayweather for Canelo. Canelo was a bigger fighter. You know, he was bigger, he was stronger. Floyd was smarter. Floyd outsmarted Canelo. That just teaches you and shows you that you don't have to be power puncher if you're going up 1 or 2 weight divisions. It doesn't work that way. It's here. It's here, your knowledge. Knowledge is king. And it's the same thing with Crawford going up to fight a Canelo Alvarez, two weight divisions. Okay, Canelo probably walks around 190, maybe, or a little bit less, but Crawford probably walks around 180. You know? So 168 is not gonna be a problem for him. You know, and people keep saying, oh, but the weight difference. No, it ain't that. Crawford don't have to kill himself to get to 6'8".
Shields explained how Mayweather defeated a younger, stronger Canelo, not with power, but with intelligence. He sees the same potential in Crawford, believing he has the boxing intellect to offset size just like Floyd did. Ronnie also dismissed concerns about the weight difference, noting that Crawford is close to Canelo's stature and will likely be comfortable at 168 pounds. In fact, he thinks Canelo may need to cut harder than Crawford. For Shields, this fight isn't about who's bigger but who's better. Given Crawford's skill set, Shields believes it's a battle worth watching, and one that Crawford can easily win. Former boxer and trainer Troy Nash added to the growing discourse by sharing his honest opinion, rooted in experience and personal connection. Nash didn't just offer an outsider's perspective, he spoke from personal experience with Crawford, and his words added a whole new level of belief to Team Bud.
But Bud actually has a chance of really winning this fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight, you know. Canelo, yeah, people think he's probably the stronger person going into the fight with him. Been fighting at 168, but he started his career off at, I think, 147 and climbed his way up. So it's not like he was just a person that came in the game that big, you know. Bud is ready though. Like when it comes for fight time, I think Bud's gonna be 100% ready. He trains year round. Like he shows a lot of the young fighters the way, you know. He treats his body good. He doesn't drink, smoke, none of that. So when it's time to fight in a few months and we get to watch them work, I think Bud got a great chance of winning.
Nash stated that while he is close to Crawford, his view is not biased, it's based on what he's observed. He sees the fight as a true 50-50th matchup and reminded people that Canelo didn't start out as a large fighter, he climbed the weight classes just like Crawford is attempting to do now. What impressed Nash the most was Crawford's lifestyle and discipline. He trains year-round, takes care of his body, and stays focused even when no fight is scheduled. According to Nash, that kind of dedication is what gives Crawford a real chance when the bell rings. While Nash strongly supports Crawford's chances, he made sure to show respect for the other team as well. In a balanced follow-up, he spoke about Canelo's legacy and the frequent criticism surrounding him. For Nash, it's more than just about who wins, it's about recognizing brilliance on both sides.
Slept on, man. He doesn't get enough respect and credit for what he's done. Canelo's fought, I mean, arguably the best fighters of this generation around his weight class. You know, of course we want to see him fight Benavidez, but besides that, I mean, who hasn't Canelo fought? You know, he went up to fight B-Ball. He fought Caleb Plant. He's in fought all the top guys, so he definitely deserves his credit. And even if he loses this fight, he still needs to be deemed as one of the greatest of our generation. If Bud loses, he needs to be deemed as one of the greatest of our generation. The fans just need to give both of them their credit, win or lose, because they're going to give us the fight that we want.
Nash pointed out that Canelo doesn't always receive the credit he deserves. He's faced some of the best fighters of his era, from Caleb Plant to Dimitri Bivol, and hasn't backed down. While fans want to see the Benavidez fight, Canelo's resume is impressive. Nash believes that regardless of the outcome, both Canelo and Crawford should be considered all-time greats. He urged fans to give them their due, not just for stepping into the ring but for giving the sport a fight that truly matters. Adding his voice to the conversation, legendary cutman Jacob "Stitch" Duran shared wisdom from his experience, recalling a previous exchange with the late Roger Mayweather. Duran, with his old-school perspective, stressed that ability always outweighs size. For him, this fight is about bloodlines, not pounds.
Roger Mayweather, when I worked with him, the late Roger Mayweather, I was talking to him and he says, you know, nowadays, MFers, you know, they have all these different divisions. We used to fight guys of different weights. He goes, it's not the difference in the weights. He goes, it's the caliber of skill level that you have. And I always thought about that, you know. So can he beat Canelo? Of course. Can Canelo beat him? Yes. So it's that type of fight. But I'm glad for Canelo because he's at the tail end of his career. Talking about Benavidez and all that, but that ship is already sailed. He don't need him.
Yeah.
But Terence Crawford or Jake Paul, that's gonna happen. That would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, but that's a nice way for Canelo to finish his career.
Stitch recalled how warriors from previous eras frequently faced opponents from different weight classes, yet the deciding factor was never size, it was skill. That's why he believes both Canelo and Crawford are capable of defeating each other. It's the kind of fight where skill will ultimately decide the outcome. He also acknowledged Canelo's current situation, saying that while the Benavidez chapter may have ended, this fight could be a fitting way to cap off his career, regardless of how it unfolds. For Stitch, it's a high-level chess match that honors both fighters' legacies while giving fans something significant to discuss afterwards. After expressing his admiration for both fighters, Stitch Duran, known for his candor, gave an honest assessment of how the fight might play out. He didn't sugarcoat it or feed into the hype. His calm, deliberate prediction was based on years of experience.
I don't bet, but if I was going to bet one way or the other, I'd go the distance fight. I think Terence Crawford's smart enough to move for 12 rounds. You're talking about getting hit solid. He has to get hit solid like Canelo. So, yeah, that'd be my prediction on that.
Definitely was.
So don't go bet money on me.
Stitch mentioned that if he had to make a call, he would expect the battle to go the distance. He believes Crawford is intelligent, competent, and disciplined enough to avoid serious trouble for all 12 rounds. Taking a clean shot from someone like Canelo is tough to avoid, but Stitch thinks Crawford has the ring IQ to do so. Still, he quipped that he's not a gambler and that you shouldn't take his word for it at the betting window. However, coming from someone who has seen it all ringside, his perspective adds a unique element to a fight that has the entire boxing world buzzing. Legendary boxing analyst Jim Lampley rounded out the discussion with a powerful viewpoint rooted in history, experience, and long-held beliefs. Lampley has called many of Crawford's biggest moments and watched his development closely, so when he speaks about Bud's ambition, it carries genuine weight.
Right. The problem is that Canelo's bigger, and he's significantly bigger. And in addition to being larger, Canelo's greatest capability, talent, my way of thinking in the ring is that you cannot hurt him. He has the best punch resistance in boxing. The notion of the smaller, more lithe Terence Crawford going in and scoring a rampaging knockout over Canelo Alvarez, I just don't see it. I think he has to focus on trying to win the fight over the long course of the fight, create action and punishment over 12 rounds and look to win a decision. Will probably throw more punches than...
Lampley pointed out that the bout begins with a significant weight disparity of roughly 21 pounds, which cannot be overlooked. While Crawford offers speed, talent, and heart, Canelo brings natural size and strength developed over time in higher weight classes. Lampley called Canelo the obvious favorite for that reason alone, believing that kind of physical edge may be too much to overcome. It's not a knock on Crawford, it's simply the hard math of boxing when two strong fighters from different divisions meet. Legendary promoter Bob Arum also contributed to the discussion. Arum, who has worked closely with Terence Crawford for most of his career, knows exactly what Bud brings to the table. While he didn't dismiss the size difference, he stated unequivocally that if anyone can pull it off, it's Crawford.
With Canelo and Terence, but if any fighter has a chance with Canelo, it's Terence. Terence is a super talent, and he has a real chance, despite the weight disparity, to beat Canelo. A real chance.
Arum sees the obvious: Canelo is the naturally larger man, which is a major factor. However, he went on to describe Crawford as a super talent, someone with the uncommon ability to overcome even the most severe physical disadvantages. According to Arum, the weight disparity doesn't eliminate Crawford's chances, rather, it elevates the stakes. In his opinion, this is more than just a difficult battle, it's the type of challenge that could define Crawford's greatness. Despite the odds, Arum believes there's a legitimate chance for this fight to shock the world. Following up on his earlier remarks, Bob Arum delved deeper into how he envisions the fight unfolding, drawing on decades of experience and knowledge of the sport. He broke it down with the honesty only a seasoned promoter can provide, and this time, he didn't hesitate to choose a side.